Hello, it's Snack from Crow's Nest, and today I'm going to be bringing you some exciting deck lists, some crazy, insane Blackwing deck lists full of tech from the RBET at Moreno Valley. It was a huge event, I think 240 players or something. They had 8 rounds of Swiss. They're going I know Keegan was streaming for more than 12 hours, so, and everyone I know who went said they had a great time. In fact, that's my teammate Fitz right there, turning around and looking at the camera. In fact, I'm going to be going to the one that's in Orlando in October. So, highly suggest you go to one of these if you get the opportunity. And I guess without further ado, I'll get into the deck lists. So, first off, we have this deck list, which is by Israel Ibarras, or Barras. And Israel actually went 8-0 in Swiss, didn't lose a single match. So I'll just get into it, I guess. So I think the main thing that is really sticking out is Solidarity. And this is a tech card that has been around. People have theorized about it before. In fact, I should have looked this up beforehand, but I'm pretty sure the way this works is that it will boost your whirlwind searches. So you can summon Blizzard, and under whirlwind it'll be 2100, and for that reason you can search any Blackwing in your entire deck off of a Blizzard summon. So for that reason, Solidarity can be pretty crazy. You don't have to waste your Kalutes as much, and you can actually see that they cut down on the deep prison because they have the Solidarity. I think they're expecting to win basically every battle because of this card. So that's really neat. And if your dad goes to the grave, usually it's because you already used it. And you should win the games where you summon dad anyway. So on the off chance that you actually draw dad and you draw Solidarity and your dad goes to the grave, if it turns off your Solidarity, it's probably worth it just to keep dad in your deck. Rather than worrying about cutting it so that your Solidarity is always live. And then, as you can see, 2 Blizzard. That is very interesting. It means that the deck has fewer dead hands early. Sometimes you open up in a pretty slow hand with Blizzards. I still think that Blizzard is really great to have for recovery, and you can get backed into a corner. Blizzard always saves you, it seems like, but they did add in Mistral as a different sync or a different tuner that you can summon. You can actually summon this one off of Shura and immediately go into a level 6. Some other interesting things, you actually have the 2 Oppression main. Sometimes we see this going away from the traditional Blackwing lists. They're not playing 2 Oppression or even 1 sometimes. We have Compost in the main. Pretty good against Hero Beat, which can give Blackwing trouble. Especially if they don't have the Solidarity. And also it's just proving to be a really good card in the meta. And then the Dark Bribe is something else that can actually protect your back row, including the oppressions. And unlike Starlight Road, if your oppressions face up, you can still activate Dark Bribe to protect it. So that's the things that stick out about the main. In the side, we only have 1 Cyber Dragon. We have Kaiku for frogs, I would expect. It's okay against zombies, and a few other decks like Amaryllis. It's good against those too. Snowman Eater's good against Hero Beat and potentially the Mirror. Twister is very interesting. I wonder what this is against. It might be also for the Mirror if they want to hit a Whirlwind, or I don't know, maybe Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, but I feel like this deck doesn't have that much of a problem with Shadow Imprisoning, so you'd have to ask Israel why he included this one. He's got the 2 Skull Drain because, especially with Solidarity, I think most decks are going to have trouble dealing with your monsters under Skull Drain. Rugs for Frogs, Deck Dev for Frogs and Fairies. In the extra, there's actually something interesting where they cut one of the Armor Masters. Usually they'll run 2. One potentially to summon naturally with Gale or Blizzard or something, and then one that you might need to summon off of Vayu. But they cut down to one, instead choosing to go for the second Stardust. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything about this deck that I noticed. Congrats to Israel for getting first in Swiss. And on to the next one, which is by Valente Alonso. And this one's even more teched out, even crazier. 41 cards. What's interesting is you actually have 41 cards with 2 Yada in the main. I'll get to that later, I guess. Once again, they're running 2 Blizzards, so people are opting for cards that are always live early. Well, I say that, but then there's Elfin. Maybe that's just to offset that. You know, it's like I want to run Elfin because I'm actually maining Skill Drain. 2 copies of Skill Drain. You know, definitely a lot of things that will catch people off guard. You have 2 Bora instead of the 3. Morphing Jar, obviously. I think Morphing Jar is really interesting because you do have a chance to catch people off guard. You know, Blackwing going first, you know, set a monster, set your hand. They're almost always going to think it's Vayu. So you do have an option or an opportunity to go just insanely plus for no reason at all. And then you just like auto win that game. And if you're going to have it, having it in the main makes the most sense. They also opted for Recovery with Avarice, which is very interesting. I suppose it combos with Morphing Jar a bit. This one's pretty crazy to me. Because it's like, how many games are going long enough that you would have Avarice? I don't know. The way they play this deck might be different than the traditional Blackwing deck. So yeah, once again, combos in the main. Both of these decks are playing Torrential, which you don't always see in Blackwings, but that'll catch people off guard sometimes. Both of them are playing Book, which helps your Shura go. And it's also just generically good for dealing with synchros. The side deck of this one's pretty crazy too. You actually have tons of machine hate with 2 Sidra and 1 System Down. I think Fortress can be a problem for this deck. And it's actually mostly fine under Skill Drain too. Like, you can't just run it over and be fine with it because it activates in the grave. So they might just want to have tons of stuff for the machine matchup. They have Nox, and they have 3 Mask of Restrict. I would expect that you would side out maybe 2 or 3 of the Icarus when you bring in Mask of Restrict, and the plan is probably just to destroy frogs before they can get any kind of special summoning going with like Hero Engine if they have it. So just trying to stop Substitute, stop all the Monarch summons. And we have the 3 Light Mirror for Lightsworn and Fairies. Fairies can give this deck some problems. And 2 Oppression in the side instead of in the main, like the other one. I think the Yadas make a lot of sense with Morphing Jar. You know, you can set Yada, set Morphing Jar, and then like you're kind of you know, like storing your card advantage on the field rather than in your hand. So that's kind of neat. I think that's a neat little combo. Yeah, that's mostly everything. This one actually only has 1 of each Blackwing Synchro. So they had 1 Silverwind, 1 Armed Ring, 1 Armor Master, and it seems to me like the cards that are out of the ordinary in here are Mistworm and Army Arm. I don't know how you make Army Arm in here. Maybe with a negated Vayu and Kalute. That's probably the only way. Or with a Brain Con play of some sort. And Mistworm actually does come up fairly often, especially with Blizzard, where if you already have something on field, Blizzard bring back like a Kalute, you can get into Army Arm pretty easily. So, yeah. Congrats to Valente as well. And some crazy decks. You can always count on these RBETs for people to be bringing something out of the ordinary, something to catch people by surprise. And I am willing to bet that both of these players did that. So anyways, that's a quick video. Just wanted to get these out. Thank you so much to Keegan and E3 for hosting the tournament and for providing the deck list to me. And always supporting the channel, and I'll see everybody later. Adios.